The last speaker is Kazu Yamaji. He's with the Research Center for Open Science and Data Platform at Japan's National Institute of Informatics, which is developing a national-level research data platform for open science. Similar initiatives that are ongoing in other countries will also be discussed by Kazu, and he's going to talk about the scope of the project in Japan and what it can do for your research in terms of open science. Take it away.
Thanks. I'm a second class of the day. Yeah. And this is my big question. But you have no choice. You have to be positive to that question, otherwise I lose my job. And I'm taking care of the infrastructure in the ICT space. And what do you imagine about the infrastructure? Maybe in some case, you imagine about a lifeline like gas, electricity, water lifeline, or school, hospital, transportation. And this is a highway. And in the cyberspace, that's going to be the internet. And most of the people, I guess every single of the people has a mobile phone and has a connection to the internet through your carrier or internet providers. And that's under your private contract. But if you connect to the internet at the university or your research institution, your mobile phone or your laptop automatically connect to the special network provided by the NREN. So this is the acronym of the National Research and Education Network. Most of the country has its own NREN, and we are in this country. NII, among institution, National Institute of Informatics, is a Japanese NREN. So now you remember the term of the NREN and the National Institute of Informatics. So that's going to be most of the 80% of my job today has already been done. If you can remember our name, NREN and the NII. But then this is our network. So we are supplying the ultra high-speed network throughout Japan. So now it's going to be 100 giga backbone, and now we're expanding it to the 400 giga backbone from the Tokyo to Osaka, and we are supplying it to each individual prefectures. We have a data center in each prefectures, and our university or research institute will connect from their local location to our data center by their own effort. And also we have an international line to Asia, Europe, and North America. And there's a tendency of the NREN. So not only taking care of the network, but also we are trying to take care of the upper layer service on top of the net. And in this country, Japan, of course we have a network named SINET, and on the top of that, we have a security service, and we have a cloud service. And this is not the cloud facility. We're just supplying the so-called security matrix in order to purchase the university, in order to purchase the public cloud service by using our security matrix, and we also get a special price from the public cloud vendors. And also we have an identity federation. Does anyone has an experience to have a connection to the publishers or commercial service by using your university credential or university login account? And also, one of the question is, does anyone has an experience connecting to the Wi-Fi? Which name of the edge roam? You know about it. So that's our work. It's a sort of the international Wi-Fi roaming between the higher education all over the world. So for instance, once you go to the London or any other main city, there are so many campuses around the downtown city, right? So they are not leaking, but they are, you can see the SSID edge roam while you're walking that street. And then your mobile phone catch the edge roam SSID and then automatically connect to the internet. It's so convenient. And also we have a sort of the scary information service. I'll let you know in detail about it in terms of the open science. And recently, because of the big wave of the open science, many of the countries are very interested in invest to the new infrastructure, research infrastructure. And this is an example from the couple of the countries. And in this country, in Japan, this diagram I got from the report from the Cabinet Office, published in 2015. And these are the stakeholders, sort of the policymaker, so including the Cabinet Office or Ministry or Science Council of Japan, the funding agency are giving the money to the researchers and scientific societies. And these are much more closer to the researchers. So we are involved in this place and expected to give a new infrastructure for open science. And how to do that? There are so many tools exist in Scala communications. So this ordinate means a type of the tools, and abscissor means a research workflow. So maybe similar tools you have already been used and very familiar with that. And some of them are provided by the open source software or research communities, but some of that are provided by the commercial vendors, by the companies, right? And sometimes this kind of story could happen. So once the small company or research community invented very, very cool tools, especially focusing on the research area, and they've got tons of the users in a short period. And they have to expand their facility, or they have to improve the system itself. So they need the money. As a result, they have to be under the umbrella of the big company and lose the control. So what I wanted to say in this slide is, I don't want to exclude the commercial activity. So the commercial service is good sometimes, but we have to make a balance between the employing the commercial service and keep the space the academic people or the researcher can control by themselves. Otherwise, this graph shows a number of the institutional contract subscription to the major publishers. Right? Depending on the year, number of the institutions are decreasing like this. Even though they publish the paper through this publisher, they cannot read it out because the university doesn't have the money to purchase this kind of huge, big publishers. We do not want to avoid such a kind of digital divide. And if you can imagine, if maybe many of the people are.
Sorry, there were no labels on the tree.
Yeah, this is a different kind of different publishers, the major publishers. There's some of the publishers is getting so-so, but the most of the publishers losing the subscription. But the most of the losing the the institutions is very, very small universities, which is not affordable to purchase the publishers or e-journal. So only the big university can purchase the journal article right now. So we want to avoid such a situation. And if you can imagine, if you lose the access to the PubMed or archive, it's a hell. You cannot exceed your research workflow anymore without having PubMed or sometimes archive. But luckily, these kind of services are sustained or supported by the national level or research community. So it's much better to just totally depending on the commercial activity. Which means we have to make a balance between the two, right? And when I think about what we can do for the researcher, we are always in my mind, we'd like to avoid such a kind of digital divide. And also we have to keep a balance and give a equal opportunity to all of the researcher. in this country. Of course, because of the limited budget or limited human resources, there's a limitation. But in my mind, we always think like that way. And let's go to the much more open science story. So focusing on this scholarly communication service provided by our institution. So these are the lineup we are providing to the Japanese university or research center, a sort of the content service. This called as pronunciated as a signee. And this is one of the biggest database for journal article or books, or recently expanding the lineup to the others. And maybe the first case mentioned about institutional repository is a sort of the showcase of the institution, depositing the researchers' output and to that database and disseminating to the in a scholarly communication space. And we are supporting such a kind of activity. And this Kaken is the database of the research project funded by the Japanese funding agency. And here is the example about our repository activity in Japan. We started our supporting program in 2005, and at the beginning, we just offering or asking the university and also giving them sort of the money, asking to the university try to develop the repository by your own effort. But in a short period, they started struggling with how to maintain the system itself or how to update the system itself because of the lack of the IT skill or sometimes unable to make a good collaboration between the ICT center of the university. And that's why we started to think about to supply the cloud service of the institution repository by our institution. And as a result, the curve growing very, very well, and this orange and gray color is the client of our cloud service. And in terms of the number of the repository, in Japan, we are the top of the world. So we have to make it more valuable and gather the contents from the researchers. And then this is an example of our signee access. So the signee is just focusing on the Japanese articles, so mainly utilized by the social science and the humanities or the student. However, right now the signee has 200 million access per year. That's going to be a crucial service in this country for the researcher and some community. I guess that most of the I originally have been a brain scientist for a long time, so I didn't know about the signee, but when I belong to this, my current institution, the signee, giving a good job to the researcher as well as a partner. And based on that kind of current service, we are now trying to develop a new research data infrastructure for open science. And it's a sort of the compilation of our services provided by our institution. Of course, we have to maximize the network, and we want to use the cloud service and the identity federation. And on the top of that, we are now constructing this kind of architecture as an open science services, which is divided by the 3 different components. And the one is the publication platform, and this is an extended version of our current repository cloud service. Not only the journal article, but also to be able to handle the research data. And also, in case of the discovery service, we now have a signee and extending it to the research data. The remaining this part is our new challenge, which can handle, which is this RDM is a research data management platform. That's going to be our new challenge. And at the beginning, we investigated the previously developed work in United States or European countries. And finally, we decided to employ the open science framework, which was developed in the United States, the Center for Open Science in the United States. And according to our historical background, we are not just hacking this product and extending the functionalities because of our background. And the advantage of this system is very flexible and extensible. So basic idea employing this open science framework in Japan is we are setting up the basic layer of the research data management system. And on the top of that, and each individual domain scientist or research institution will develop their own specialized functionalities in their domain or research field. And putting inside as add-on functionality. So we are trying to make it such a kind of architecture by using the open science framework. And here is this circle shows a sort of the research cycle, especially focusing on the research data management. So the researcher again have to obtain the data and analyze and manage the data and depositing the data to the repository and disseminating it to the world. And in each phase, our three different components can be used. So at the beginning, if the researcher kick off the research project and they have to write an application form to the research and they have to handle the collaborators. So they can use it, they can do that by using our RDM platform. And then once they got the research experimental data, they can manage the data. And now we are trying to connect this RDM platform to the couple of typical analysis tools by using the API between the two different tools. And also this RDM platform has a tight connection, tight coupling with the publication platform. The researchers can easily deposit their contents, research data, as you want, to the repository. And all of the data stored in the repository will be aggregated to our discovery service and disseminated to the worldwide web. And here's a much more detailed, sorry, the slide is very busy, but I want to show some example how to use our platform. So researchers have to manage the manuscript by using our version control functionality provided by our RDM platform, and also manage the different information. And this RDM platform has a bunch of the API, so it can connect to the external services like a Mendeley or any other commercial services, of course. And also manage the supplemental data in the paper and the table and the figures. And once they submit the paper and got acceptance from the publishers, they deposit the paper in a publication platform, this phase. Sometimes that's going to be institution repository, or sometimes that's going to be the domain repository, like this way. But they can do that very easily just by clicking the button in the RDM platform. And maybe when the researcher publishes their paper or data in this publication platform, that's going to be happen based on the funding agency open access policy or their institutional policies or funders' policies, or according to their data management plan. And maybe the researchers do you know about the metadata? Metadata is a description of the paper or research data. So title, author, something, 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 it's a sort of the metadata. But the researchers is not good at to describe the metadata precisely. So the curators or librarians have to help to make it more sophisticated way. So maybe that kind of collaboration going to be happen by using our publication platform. And finally, they got a DOI. And like this way, the researcher can use our RDM platform or publication platform, and also our searching engine discovery tools. And we've just finished the alpha testing with a major university in Japan at the end of the March, and we've got tons of the requests from the university. And from the April, now, the NREN launched a new research center for open science and a data platform, and I'm head of that. And now we are in a fully developing this kind of different type of the platform right now. With my 7 members, internal members, and more than 10 developers. We are outsourcing the source coding. And at the same time, we will start the small study, feasibility study, and according to this kind of schedule, we will have a feasibility study, pilot operation, and a production level operation. So we are usually basically talking with the ICT center of the university or research institute or the librarians. But if you have a chance to talk with us, so please join to our testing and get your voice. We want to get your voice, actually. Thank you so much.